So I brought in Neil Williams, president of TurnkeyParlour.com. Neil has the best prices and the best service of anyone that I've found in our industry for buying push carts, dipping cabinets. Dipping cabinets, that's the cabinet where you scoop the ice cream from. Either the kind where it flops back and you scoop it, or like Baskin-Robbins, what they call a visual display cabinet, the glass where you can see it. The gelato cabinets, specialty hardening freezers that go to 40 below zero. Neil has it all, and again, his prices are great, and he's a very terrific person to work with. When he says he's going to do something, it gets done, and that's important to me. But today I'm going to put him under pressure a little bit. A lot of people, this is now January, and right about now people are getting geared up for the Italian ice business. If you're thinking of going into the Italian ice business in mid-May, you're getting a bit late. It's better to be thinking about it right now. So Neil, after they get started with a CB350 batch freezer, they're going to need a push cart, at least one, sure. And they're going to need a way to take the product from the freezer and put it into the push cart and have it stay for most of the day. Tell us what you got.
All kinds of options for that.
I'll get out of the way and you tell us what you got and what prices.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Well, again, thanks, Steve, for inviting me down here and holding this lunch with the president. My name is Neil Williams, president of Turnkey Parlour, and some of you know me, but if you don't, we sell ice cream dipping cabinets, like Steve was saying. We sell carts, we sell gelato display cases, frozen yogurt machines, and we sell a lot of hard to find items too. Sometimes, like for example, you have a dipping cabinet, you may have bought it used, you don't have the can holder system for it, you're looking for that. Sometimes we can help you with that. We can't always solve every problem like that, but a lot of times we can. We also have on our website free business guides that you can download on the Italian ice business, cart business, on ice cream business, obviously, and on the frozen yogurt business. And then most of what I'm going to talk about is vending carts, like Steve said. There's three types of carts. There's a cold plate cart, which means it's the type of cart that you can plug in at night, and then the next day you can use it up to 12 hours without dry ice or electricity or anything like that. It's got these built-in cold plates that charge up. And then you've got just standard refrigerated carts with, if you're going to be in a situation where you're always going to be plugged in, then you don't need these cold plates. They add weight to the cart, so if you don't need, and a little expense also. And then you have non-refrigerated carts, which, like Steve was saying, with the CB350, if you're starting out, you may not have that much capital, so you may want to start with one of the smaller non-refrigerated carts just to get a feel for how your business is going to grow, and then upgrade to some of the nicer, bigger carts after that. So, going back to the push carts, the cold plate cart, we have the best seller that we have in cold plate is called the BDC8, and that's the second page of the presentation up at the top. You can get like 6 flavors up top, 6 3-gallon tubs, and 4 on the bottom, so you get 10 total tubs in the BDC8, and that's about $3,200 with shipping. That's basically the most expensive push cart because it's got those built-in cold plates, and it's like a tank. It's built, the refrigeration is built in, versus some other cart manufacturers that just put a convenience store little freezer on a frame and sell that, for maybe $1,000 less. As soon as you ride that around in a pickup truck and on the freeway for a little bit and it vibrates, it's not going to be a cart anymore. The refrigeration is going to break down. So it's better, to buy the carts that are specifically built. The refrigeration is built specific from the ground up to be mobile. And then the second option is refrigerated carts. Like I said, if you keep it plugged in, that's about $25.99 with shipping included. And then the third option, which is the lowest cost, is the non-refrigerated cart. We have a little package deal that we call it's a CLT4 NR, stands for no refrigeration. And you can get 8 3-gallon tubs in there. And then we have these little things called cool packs that sort of do the job that cold plates do. They don't do the best job for ice cream because ice cream is harder, you got to keep it colder than Italian ice. They do a fantastic job for Italian ice. So if you're going to do Italian ice, you buy the package deal, the CLT4 NR with the 4 cool packs, shipping, and an umbrella included, and that's $18.99. And then if once you get to the level where, you're expanding your business, or you want to put a cart in a mall and you're getting into branding, we have bigger, more official dipping carts with canopies and sinks and dip wells and everything, just to make it a more official cart. Those can have canopies, they can not have canopies, they can have cold plates, they can be without cold plates. There's 100 different varieties of putting a dip well on it, or a triple bowl sink, single bowl sink, whatever makes sense for what you're trying to do. And I put this here because it's important. Meeting the health department requirements is your responsibility. That's one of the things that the first steps to take is to go make sure that whatever you're going to do, you know what the rules are, so you don't end up buying a cart and then they're telling you, no, you need to have a dip well in it, and it's a lot harder to do after the fact. Anybody have questions on carts?
So for $18.99, they can be in the Italian ice business with a push cart.
Yes.
And that holds how much?
That holds 8 3-gallon tubs.
That's a lot.
Yeah. It's a nice well-built cart. Stainless steel inside for the bottom, because all these carts have stainless steel bottoms, because when you're dealing with Italian ice, you're dealing with citric acids, and invariably they're going to, the bottom is going to have citric acid. It's going to have something on it. It's going to start to corrode if you don't clean it every single day, and that's really hard to do. So over time, if it's not a stainless steel bottom, that's another problem with using regular freezers, is that they could start developing problems early on. Moving on to batch freezers and the process. Italian ice, you really don't need a hardening cabinet. You can go right from the batch freezer, to a regular freezer, because it doesn't, you could store it at 0 degrees or -10, and you're going to be fine. But when you're making ice cream, you have to worry about ice crystals forming when you take it out of the batch freezer, and if you just put it in a regular freezer. If it hardens too slow, you're going to develop little ice crystals, and the quality of your product is going to suffer. Yes, Ken?
If your ice cream in the cart gets as cold as the cold plate, can you still scoop it?
What you want to do, that's a good question, excellent question, because the question is, the day before, if you're going to charge up your cold plates and you plug them in, you want to crank down the thermostat on the cart to as cold as it'll get. And because you want to bring the cold plates down to as cold as the cold plates will get, which is about -10, -20 degrees, depending on what you're doing. If you're doing ice cream or novelties or Italian ice, there's different cold plates. That's another thing. There's different cold plates. But you do not want to have your product in because if you're doing Italian ice and you're bringing down cold plates, you're going to have rock solid blocks of Italian ice that you're not going to be able to scoop. Same thing with ice cream. You really want to have it in a different freezer until the day that you're going to go sell it. You charge the cold plates the night before. The cart's going to be nice and cold. It'll last 12 hours, and you pop ice cream in that's tempered at about 0 to +6 scooping temperature, or +15 for Italian ice. That's where you want to start the. You could start it a little colder, but because that's not going to hurt you too much. Does that answer the question, Ken, I think? Hopefully. Anybody else have any other question related to that? Okay. So, the stages, there's actually 4 stages. And on the slide, I've got the batch freezer. The ice cream comes out of the batch freezer. It goes into a hardening cabinet, which is also, known as a blast freezer in the industry. But really, we don't sell blast freezers. A blast freezer can be a $30,000, thing that takes food from 200 degrees to 30 degrees in 2 hours or whatever. We sell hardening cabinets, but a lot of people say blast freezer, even though it's not truly a blast freezer, because that's a different animal. A hardening cabinet is made specifically for ice cream, and it's between $4,800 and $7,500 versus a lot more expensive blast freezers. So you go from the batch freezer into the hardening cabinet. Typically, from what I'm not an ice cream making expert, but from what I've been told, it's about 4 hours, depending on how your product is, to harden. And then from the hardening cabinet, you could go right to the dipping cabinet. the underneath part of the dipping cabinet, because you can't, it's going to be like at minus 30 degrees coming out of the hardening cabinet, so you really can't go right to scooping it, obviously. You have to give it like a day or two at 0 degrees. You don't want to, temper it outside of a freezer. Some people, take it out of the harden, they're trying to, if they're in a hurry to scoop it, they leave it out, sitting out, to soften it, to be able to scoop it, and that's a bad idea because it messes with the quality of your product. So you go from the batch freezer to the hardening cabinet, then to a tempering cabinet, which is around 0 degrees, and you want it in there for about 2 days, then to the dipping cabinet, okay? You can skip the tempering cabinet if depending on how much business you do, you can go right to the bottom of the dipping cabinet, the storage area, because all the dipping cabinets, like a 16 flavor dipping cabinet has 12 flavor spaces underneath for storage, so you can go from the hardening cabinet into that storage area as long as you're not going to use it the same day, because it's going to need a day or two to soften. Okay? Does anybody have questions on that?
Most of your equipment's made in the USA, isn't it?
Yeah, yep. These hardening cabinets are made by a company called Global Refrigeration, which used to be called Kelvinator, and years ago Kelvinator was the cream of the crop. There's 3 models. There's a 1-door and then two door models. One's a minus 30 degree and one's a minus 40 degree. The minus 40 degree isn't that much more than the minus 30 degree. It's like $300 more, so it's usually, most people just jump to the minus 40 degree. And through the end of January, it's $59.90 for the 2-door. You can get about 43 3-gallon tubs in that hardening cabinet. So depending on, if you're an existing company or existing manufacturer that already knows what their volume is and knows that they may need a 2-door, a lot of people can get away with a 1-door because depending on how much you manufacture, you can cycle it through the 1-door and go, you don't have to be using the hardening cabinet as a storage cabinet. That doesn't make any sense because it's more expensive to run the hardening cabinet because you're running it at a much colder, degrees. So what I'm trying to say here is basically that we've got some offers. The prices are going up at the end of January. Global gave me a year worth of really low pricing to promote these. And they're going to go up about $300. It's not a massive amount, but if you're in the market for a hardening cabinet, you probably want to do it in January. And we can take the order in January, take payment, and then ship it to you later if you're not ready to receive it.
Is there sales tax on that?
If you're buying it, if I'm shipping it into North Carolina, there is. But outside of North Carolina, no.
So,
sorry.
The price range on the tempering cabinet?
Tempering cabinet, it's all over the place because you could use almost any cabinet for tempering. It just has to be set at around 0. Like a hardening cabinet is a specialty item because nothing else really can get to minus 30 or minus 40. A dipping cabinet is obviously a specialty item because it's a visual thing or it's something like the flip top. But a tempering cabinet, you could even buy an inexpensive chest freezer if you wanted to from Best Buy or Lowe's or whatever and use that if you wanted to. It's a little tricky because some of them aren't NSF and maybe sometimes the health guy will tell you he doesn't want a regular chest freezer. Let me get to you in 1 second. What's that?
The voltage on these dipping cabinets, are they one?
Oh, the 1-door, yeah, the hardening cabinet, the 1-door is 115 and both of the 2 doors are 220. You had?
When you actually have a blast freezer, you can convert that to a hardening cabinet, yeah?
If you have a blast freezer?
Yeah,
if you have a blast freezer, all the hardening cabinet is just an ultra cold freezer. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry. Okay. All right.
So if we buy from you, is my mic up? So if we buy from you, as opposed to, down the street at, Harry's Discount Appliances, if we're located in Arkansas and you're shipping it to us, and there's no sales tax until they start taxing the internet. That's more than going to pay for the shipping cost, isn't it? The difference of not paying sales tax.
Yeah, it's more than going to pay for the shipping cost. I mean, shipping can get tricky. You know, sometimes you'll see free shipping, or you'll see, you know, you have to watch out, because some people will, on the internet, will, you know, make a price. I mean, everybody knows the games that are played. I mean, we've been around for a while. The internet's not new, but, you know, some people will price stuff a little bit lower, and then they'll jack up the shipping, or they'll, they don't tell you anything about shipping, because free shipping just means that the truck shows up and you got to have like 3 strong people to unload that thing off the truck. It's not like they're coming in and they're laying it in a little spot for you. Free shipping is the truck gets there and you got to figure out a way to get it off. It costs about $75 to $100 for a lift gate, which means that they bring it down to the ground for you, but then they leave it there. It's another maybe couple $100 if you want inside delivery. And then if you want concierge service, which means that they clean everything up and they put it in place and they install it by plugging it in, you know. I mean, I can quote all that stuff, but I'm upfront with people, hey, there's 4 or 5 different levels of what shipping really means.
So an entrepreneur who's setting up their own business and is learning to do everything on their own can save a lot of money going through you, because that truck is going to show up, and we do it with a lift gate and charge for it.
Yeah.
Delivered down to the street, and then you call up some of your thug friends and you know, have them help you carry it in, and you save hundreds of dollars.
Yeah, the key thing is that with my customers, I do my very best to kind of clarify that when they're, before they buy the thing, you know, so that it's not like, hey, I'm hitting you with this later, or you don't tell them at all, and then because they get upset, they're like, wait a minute, you know, they're expecting, you know, UPS guy to bring it inside, you know, and that's, you know, so it's little things like that you got to watch out who you buy from.
The other thing, Neil, that I'd like to bring up is, you know, people are always saying, oh, well, I'm going to save money on buying used equipment. And the first thing they talk about is, oh, well, all right, I'll buy a new Emery Thompson, but I'm going to save on the dipping cabinets. I'm going to buy used cabinets. It's still, and always has been, my contention that there is nothing on the used market that isn't there because someone wanted to get rid of it. You know, I can't tell you how many times we've heard, oh, no, it was only used, yeah, it's 15 years old, but we had it as a backup. Who's going to spend on a batch freezer $30,000 on a backup machine? Yeah. Come on, that's not true.
Yeah, I hear the backup.
I hear the backup all the time. And also, you know, everybody has in their own mind that, oh, there's all these people who went out of business, and I'm going to pick it up for dirt cheap. Well, there aren't that many that go out of business, because quite frankly, Neil and I take such good care of them, and Barry, that you know, we see to it that you're going to be successful. We're here to help you and give you a lot of answers. There isn't a lot of equipment out there because somebody went out of business. And if they did go out of business and it's their money, you can be darn sure they're looking to get every penny they can out of their equipment before they close their doors. So by the time it hits eBay or Craigslist, I just wouldn't trust it. I wouldn't buy anything that has refrigeration in it that I didn't first test run myself, that I didn't see that it worked.
I sell, you know, if you've been on my website, I sell used stuff every now and then, and it's usually a customer that may have bought something from me that I'm trying to help out. But it's normally something that's a year, 2 years max, as far as age, and I know, you know, the person, and yeah, they don't, you know, when you're hurting if you're going out of business, you know, and you're going to try and get top dollar for it because you paid a lot of money, you know, you have to turn it around at a good deal, you know, but anything that's you know, more than 2 years old, it's just asking for a problem. I mean, it really is.
There's a lot of larceny in the hearts of used equipment. My best friend up in New York, when he was starting out in business, he worked for the local car dealership, and a Lamborghini came in. And I mean, who wouldn't want a Lamborghini, especially if you're 22 years old? And he was able to buy it for dirt cheap, and they made the deal, the cash deal, and now he owns a Lamborghini. Then they put it up on a lift and found out they had been in a flood, and the whole car was rusting out. So what did he do? They had a process back then called Z-barding. It's where you spray tar on the bottom of the car. They sprayed tar on the bottom of the car, and then he sold it to someone else. Hey, why not? It's a Lamborghini.
Yeah.
It is caveat emptor, buyer beware when it comes to used equipment, because if that push cart goes down, if that dipping cabinet goes down, if the hardening cabinet goes down, you could be out of business. You know, we'd love to get you a new cabinet, back in your store, but it still may take 7 days, and in the middle of July, 7 days is a lot of time to lose. Yeah, Ken?
I've got two questions for Neil.
Then I'll get out of the way.
Neil, did you mention the price of the single row hardened cabinet?
Yeah, $47.90 with shipping included. Free shipping, which means that, you come pick it up. I'm just kidding. Yeah, $47.90, and that includes liftgate, actually. Yeah, not inside delivery.
Okay, and also, are there any hardening cabinets that you can also change the temperature to use as a tempering?
Yeah, you could. You could always adjust the thermostat on the hardening cabinet. Again, the hardening cabinet is a freezer that goes to minus 40 degrees. It's not, a blast freezer is a little different than a hardening cabinet. A hardening cabinet is just an ultra cold freezer.
Freezers have the air circulating.
Yes, blast freezers have these massive fans in there. The hardening cabinet still has a fan in there circulating it, but it's not like the shock, because people will say shock freezer, blast freezer in our business, and because we just use that term interchangeably, I've had problems with people thinking that they're buying, a blast freezer, and I explain that every time. I'm like, look, if you want to buy it for your food that you're trying to do this or that or the other, because they see it's, between $4,700 and $7,000, and everything else they're looking at is like 10 to 30. They want to buy the less expensive one, but sometimes it works for their project, sometimes it doesn't, and I'm pretty clear about that. One more thing about used equipment. What I do is, if you buy used equipment, if you're selling used equipment or asking me to help you sell used equipment, or if you're buying used equipment, I have a little thing where, I only give the seller 50% until the buyer receives it and has, about 14 days to test it before I give the seller their full amount of money. In other words, when you get it, if there's a problem, you're going to be taken care of. It's not like, cross your fingers type of thing. So there's a little leverage in that. Going with us if you're going to do used versus Craigslist or eBay or anything like that. But, and again, I try and stick, because it is problematic. I don't want to make a few $100s and then have somebody upset at me. It's not worth it. So.
The warranty work.
What's that?
How's the warranty work? Just the manufacturer?
Oh, the warranty? Yeah, on all the new equipment, there's, if you email me and you want me to formally quote it, you'll get the warranty on there and everything. Yep.
Can I say something?
Sure.
If you really want to treat yourself, get on his email list. He's the most religious emailer I've ever met. And I just checked my email, and there were 2 from him today, every day. And it's great because all the specials and things are always on there, and it takes you right to the website, and it's not a hard sell, and it's a great email thing every day.
Thank you, Jeff.
And also,
I
Neil
appreciate
knows
that.
everything about storing Italian ices, so any questions that come up that we haven't thought of today, give Neil a call, send him an email, and he'll be glad to help you.
Sounds like a plan. Thank you.
Well, thank you. You do a great job.
Appreciate it.
And I'll tell you, all my customers are really, really happy.
I got to run back to my jet. The pilot's waiting.
Yeah, I know.
And I gotta hit Pebble Beach.
Left the engines running, huh? You think he's kidding. He's
No,
not.
I wish.
He makes a very
Yeah, I have to
tiny
take
margin,
that
but he makes it
flying
many,
back.
many times over. All right, we're going to switch microphones.